Be Different podcast. It's not in the downtown studio, but it doesn't matter because Brad Redford is here as the host. Greg Wichert is here, and he's been working hard. We're not at our normal spots. It always takes a little bit, and I want to help. It's kind of one of those situations where, like, I see Greg working, he's maneuvering, he's sweating, he's doing his thing, and then it's like, I can't help. I'm like, Greg, I'm sorry. I want to help you, but I can't do it. Nick Given, unfortunately, is not here, so we do miss him. But I'm in the presence of what I believe is maybe, well, for sure, the most athletic family in Cincinnati history, for sure. I don't think there is any debating that at all, and no one here is going to debate that, but arguably the most athletic family in the world. I'm just going to throw it out there at the beginning, and so thankful that you guys are allowing the Be Different podcast to come here. And, of course, we're talking about the Wolf family, and first time, welcome, guys, father and son, Steve Wolf, CBS Sports, runs his own company, played basketball, Xavier, NC State, tennis. I mean, Steve has boundless energy, and he's already filled us with a million different stories, so I'm really looking forward to talk to Steve as well as his son, Chase. Big-time quarterback, heading to Wisconsin next year, and you guys got the Wisconsin gear on. You guys are already looking good. Thank you so much for allowing myself and the rest of the crew to come in here, and I'm the bartender tonight. So, Steve, I mean, if you need a drink back here, just ask me.
Well, hey, welcome to our house. We really appreciate it, and love being on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you guys. And what I want to jump into first is we're going to do a little father and son action here where we ask you guys the same 10 questions. And these 10 questions, they're going to be simple. They're going to be yes or no. They're going to be true or false. They're going to be one-word answers. I don't want you guys thinking too much, to start out the night right here. But, Steve, I'm going to start with you. 10 questions with Steve Wolf.
I've never gotten 10 questions correct.
Are you prepared?
I'm absolutely prepared.
You can't be right or wrong with these, though.
Those are the best kind of tests for me.
All right, we're going to start easy, and then I'm going to progress you. It's going to get a little bit more challenging as we go along. But the first one's, I think, simple. Okay, you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Okay, La Rosa's or Skyline?
Skyline.
Night at a sporting event or night at home?
Night at home.
Would you rather be a world-famous actor or a musician?
Musician.
Your personality, more Vince Vaughn or Owen Wilson?
Vince Vaughn.
Good call. That's what I thought you were going to say. LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan.
Yes or no? When I wake up in the morning and look in the mirror, I think, wow, I might have the most athletic family in the world.
No.
Better coach, Sean Miller or Chris Mack?
Chris Mack.
Better athlete, you or Brad Redford?
I will take me. I don't know how good an athlete you are as a basketball player. I'll take me.
All right. Yes or no? You have considered Rogaine?
No, never.
Yes or no? I'm glad the 10 questions is over.
I could go a couple more. I feel
God,
pretty good.
I wish I had more. Steve, that was fantastic. Thank you. I know it gets a little stressful in there.
There clearly aren't the same questions if you're asking about Rogaine.
Well, we're gonna ask you. Preventative maintenance, Chase.
All right.
We got to have some preventative maintenance. I mean, you see what's lying ahead of you. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for it.
Let me
that's something I had to think about too.
I had hair when I got married, and my wife married me, and I said, "Do you mind if I shave it off because it looks so bad?" And she goes, "Go with it."
Wait, so because you got married at 37,
yeah.
So you still had hair at that point, like a full head of hair?
I had a pretty good head of hair, Brad. Just remember, you at 28. Belated happy birthday.
Well, I'm getting a little thinner up
But
top.
I didn't know I was losing my hair until I saw one of the 5 cameras at a game, and I looked over and I go, "Is that my play-by-play?" I put my arm around him. I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm losing my hair." And that was it. I was embarrassed, and I wasn't going to do a comb over.
The same thing happened to me because I was doing a game and there was cameras. They hit you at the front angle and the side angle, and then they went up top and they had one on the top concourse, and I looked down and I was like, "Oh my God, is that me?" I'm like, I'm going bald. Like I'm getting a little circle at the crown. And I called my mom that night, and I started crying to her. I'm like, I'm getting old. I don't know I don't have hair anymore. And she calmed me down, and I'm doing fine. And, you look fantastic. I didn't mean anything by that.
You shave it.
All right. Chase, are you ready for the 10 questions?
Yeah, I've already heard them.
You already heard them, but La Rosa's or Skyline?
Skyline.
Night at a sporting event or night at home?
Home.
Would you rather be a world-famous actor or musician?
Actor.
Your personality, more Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson.
I like that. LeBron or Jordan?
Jordan.
Yes or no? When you wake up in the morning, you think, wow, I might be in the most athletic family in the world.
No.
Better coach, Sean Miller or Chris Mack?
Chris Mack.
Better athlete, you or Brad Redford?
Me.
I appreciate the pause, though. And you took a second on that one, too, Steve. Ever considered Rogaine or preventative maintenance? Yes or no?
Not yet.
Yes or no, you're glad the 10 questions is over?
I'm iffy on that.
That was pretty.
I could keep going.
That was good. You guys did a nice job. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, the Rogaine thing does hit you a little bit because I just didn't want to spend the money on it. I was starting a company. Heck, I didn't have the money to go for Rogaine.
So I actually looked at Rogaine too, and this was a couple years ago. And my uncle has been on Rogaine for a long time, John Dara. He lives in Charlotte, and I said, "Listen, like if I do the Rogaine, because I'm scared," I started freaking out. He's like, "You can't go off of it, because once you take the Rogaine and you go off, it actually goes faster." From what I understand,
if I need medicine from a liver or kidney or heart prevention or diabetes, I'll take it.
You're not touching it.
I'm not taking it for hair.
You're not touching it.
I just figure one day that they'll have one pill that'll cure it all, and then I'll grow it back. Because
Gotcha.
I still do have some hair.
Gotcha. All right, let's get to you guys right now. Where you're at right now, Chase? You just finished school at St. Xavier, heading to Wisconsin to play football. We talked briefly off of the air. You're heading here in just a couple weeks. I believe you said June 16th. Where are you at right now? I saw the video with you on Local 12 that Jed did with Tony Pike. You look like you're already staying in shape. You're not worrying about it. I mean, how excited are you to kind of move on? Are you nervous at all of what's ahead of you? Obviously, you have a very close family. You know, your dad and mom have had heavy impact. It's got to be a little bit strange to leave the house and you're going to Madison.
Yeah, it's pretty bittersweet. I mean, I'm laying low pretty much, just working out and studying the playbook and stuff like that, trying to get ready, but also trying to spend some time with family and friends before I head off.
So I remember when you guys came to the gym, and I was running a training program at that time, and two of you came in. Chase, I think you were an 8th grader at that point. It was about 7:30, and then I thought he was going to come in and work out with me. And Steve, you had him running sprints, and I don't know what happened that day. So can you talk about how you've helped mentor your kids? You have crazy athletes all across your family. Your older daughter plays volleyball at Cincinnati. Your younger daughter just committed to Xavier to play volleyball. Chase is going to Wisconsin to play quarterback. Your younger daughter, obviously very talented as well, and you got great kids. I mean, you talk to Chase, you talk to the rest of the kids, your whole family, how strong a foundation that you have built. You know, what did you do as a dad and as a coach, because you have that athletic background? Like, where did you find that balance?
Well, I grew up in a family that we had what we needed. We didn't have what we wanted, so my dad loved sports, and he felt like sports was a microcosm of what goes on day to day in the real world. So, he spent time with us. And me getting married at 37 and marrying somebody that was 9 years younger that did not have any sports in her background. Jeannie, my wife, who has been really supportive and great with him, she didn't understand what I was talking about. And I was starting a company with my brother-in-law, Jay, and, we didn't have all the money we needed to go out and do a lot of things. So my quality time and what I felt I could offer these kids was my ability to teach them. I'm really good at the fundamentals. If I learn the fundamentals of something, I can work with you. I'm big on footwork, but I was also big on the things that I learned from sports: commitment, dedication, sacrifice. Chase just said, I'm laying low. Sunday night, guys are doing this. He's back at 11 o'clock. He's going to have his night where he's going to go out before he goes to school, but he understands the sacrifice. He can't go on all the dances during football and basketball if you want to be good. But also the fact that you commit. You commit to your team. You commit to your teammates. You commit to your coach. All those things go hand in hand with life. So, when we would go on vacation, we'd find a beach where we could work out. We always had a gym. And I had keys to every gym around, whether it's Sports Plus or Sports Express or whether St. Margaret or York. I had the keys. We go up there and work out. But you have to have kids that are pliable and willing to understand and take it on. And, now, I only work with my 7th grader, Shayna. The other 2 girls and Chase have their own regiment, and they get up early. If we go on vacation, I don't have to say anything about it. They're gone. So they have that work ethic, which I think is so important, especially in this day and age.
So did you coach all of your kids to a certain point, and then you kind of handed them off?
Yeah.
At what age was that? Was it different with them? Or?
No, I was only going to coach them until they went ABC. I coach Friars. I think Friars is the best program in the city of Cincinnati for young kids that want to learn basketball. It's the greatest program, and it's very inexpensive, and there's a lot of different diverse people down there. I thought it was great, so I coached down there. I'll coach them to 5th grade. They have the fundamentals. They know what I expect. It was very hard in the beginning because I wanted my kids to be so good. I've dreamed of the day that they would play a sport that I loved, and so you have to pull back. And I think when I retire, I'd like to teach people that You can't have all these expectations of your kids. And so what I did was I dialed it into two things. Play hard and have a good attitude. So if they have a good attitude, that means they're not dropping their head when they miss a shot or throw an interception or hit miss a dig. And if they play hard, there's a good chance that their athleticism and their ability and learning the game will help them win. So I didn't push on winning, and I didn't push on how many points they had. I pushed on things that I thought, two things that I could quantitatively look at and figure out if they're doing their job.
And so can you speak to maybe the demeanor and how you communicated that? Like when you talk about playing hard, having a great attitude, when you saw Chase maybe not have a good attitude or Sabrina go off the court not in a way that you liked, how would you approach that with your kids?
I went off the rails. No. There were times, though, early on, and Chase will tell you this, it's not something that you learn. I mean, I could coach kids. I started coaching my little brother, David, at Nativity when I was still in college. So he was a 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grader. I coached him, and that was different. But when you're coaching your son, and I'm out there working with him every day, and he drops his head, or he doesn't hustle. In the beginning, that was hard, and I didn't know how to handle it. And he'd get in the car, and then I read something that says, don't say anything in the car ride. Just don't say in the car ride, because it's going to go out the window. And so I had to mature and grow. And so Sabrina probably took the brunt of that. Mm-hmm. I was tough on her, and I made her throw a football just like Chase, and she throws it 30 yards. She can whip the ball. Same with my girls. I didn't want them being different. But with Chase, it was amazing the difference. When he went to St. X, the difference, never dropped his head. Like in football, I was like, I couldn't believe it. And so for me to watch him play football, I got to pinch myself a little bit. I know basketball, but he would go out there and they were telling me he was good. And I never believed it. I was like, well, okay, whatever. He's still my kid. We'll see what he does. He got better and better. And when I watched him, I was like, man, he really is good. I've never said that about my kids. So they've helped me too. Dad, I get it. And that means back off, dial up. But I'll still come after. Chase shot a 3 one time when he was a junior, and I had my dad at the game, and he kept his hand up. And we get in the car, and my dad's in the back seat, driving him, and get in the car, and I say, hey, great game, because he had played a great game, and he did everything right. And I said, hey, listen, on that 3, and he goes, I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done it. And so he said that, which made me feel good because he knew it. It's just you don't show the other team up. You act like you're supposed to do it. Paul Brown had that saying, act like you've been there before. And you know what? So people ask, what are you most proud of your children? I think the way they act on the court, the way they act on the field. I'm really impressed when other coaches come up and tell me, hey, Chase is a really good football player. He's a better kid. That is way more important to me than him going to Wisconsin.
And Chase, your dad has a ton of energy, and you hear when he talks. I mean, he's very good at the brand that he wants as a player and as an athlete, and he's obviously very good at communicating that. So, like, how much did that help you, reach where you wanted to go to this point?
I mean, he instilled in me a work ethic and an energy for sports at a very young age, and he developed that throughout my whole grade school career, and then he pretty much backed off when I got in high school and let me do it on my own so I could learn from everything and stuff like that. So I listened to my coaches and he would just back off because he didn't really know what to do with football, and basketball was just a side job for me. So as long as I was playing hard and having fun, it was all good. At
what point did it click for you? Like, were you one of those kids that immediately was drawn to sports and you were playing football and basketball and I guess I take it back to when I was playing. I got to a point, I probably like 7th or 8th grade, like I realized I was really good. And if I wanted to take it to the next level, I had to work every single day to get to where I wanted to go. Was there a moment in time that you can look back to, maybe not an instance, but maybe just something that clicked in your head, like, hey, I can be really good at this. I can be one of the best players in the state, become one of the top players in the country, and then go to Wisconsin. At what point for you did that click?
Going into high school, I was all basketball, so it probably clicked with me junior year. I went to a bunch of camps and stuff and saw that I was better than a lot of the guys, but it's that's underwear football. It's nothing like the game, and I never played a varsity game until junior year. And the first game of the year, we played the #1 team in the country, full of Division I commits, and I thought I stood my ground pretty well with them, and that was my first ever varsity action, and I thought I did pretty well, and I was scared to death.
And maybe, Steve, take me to that moment junior year when Chase finally gets opportunity to kind of shine, and St. X, the way that he plays and how they move to win a state championship. I bet seeing that as a dad and obviously a huge supporter of him, just, how an amazing experience that was to kind of see him progress in front of a very large audience and in a stressful situation.
Well, what I was real impressed with is that he really never ever acted like he was any good. So I didn't know. And as freshmen, they moved into varsity, and I thought, well, maybe they did that because of our name. I'm always cognizant that maybe they'll do it because he's a Wolf. And I tell them, you're going to get good things and bad things with your name. And then sophomore year, he went undefeated on the JV team and was on the varsity too, but he didn't play. That first game was down at Nippert Stadium. It was really hot, and the coach had told him, we're going to play you at one series every game. Well, it was halftime, and then the starting quarterback got hurt, and he was a Penn State commit. And Chase came in there, and he looked really poised. And I looked at Jeannie, I go, man, I'm nervous. I know how it is to play. And he's down there in front of all these people in the stands, and he was under control. But then he played the next game against Coleraine. I was not under control. And he was calm and cool and collected. Didn't have a great first half, but like I always said, I say to all my kids, it's not the interception. It's the next play. And you know what? He went down there, Coleraine, and didn't have a great first half, but really led the second half. But I didn't realize that he was any good. And I still hold out. I mean, I don't know if he'll play at Wisconsin. I don't know. But when we went on our visits, and when we went to all these coaches, and they would all blow smoke, and then we met with the Duke head coach, which is Dave Cutcliffe. And that was Peyton Manning's quarterback coach, and that is Eli Manning's head coach. And he is world-renowned as a quarterback guru. And he looked at me and looked at my wife, and he said, we already have a commit. He said, but he's the number one on our board. And I watched his film. It took him 3 times to get me to watch his film because I didn't need another quarterback. And he said, I was blown away. And that's when I looked at Jeannie, and I was like, wow. The next thing he said was, then I went and looked at his transcripts. He's never missed a day of school. He has a 4.0 average. He goes, I want this kid. It was really interesting for me. That's when I drove home, and I said, Jeannie, maybe he is decent. Because I still, I reserve until you go out and do it. He had a really good year this year. I was really impressed. But, you never look in the rearview mirror. You're going to run into something in front of you. So we'll see what happens. But I'm so proud of his attitude and his personality, his leadership, and the fact that, this weekend my daughters played up in Columbus, and he had a long, busy day, and he took, 4 hours out of his day to go play volleyball. I thought that says more to me than throwing touchdowns.
And I think one thing with Chase, and you talked about it, is his poise and his demeanor on the field and being able to step into challenging situations. So, where do you find that poise? I mean, you talk to a lot of different guys. It's something they do before the game. Maybe it's something they do during the game. What is it for you that kind of calms you down and allows you to slow things down in your head while things are speeding by everybody else?
Well, in my head before every game, I freak out. I get really nervous, and I feel really weak and stuff. Before I played Coleraine, Tony Pike told me just to take 3 deep breaths before you go in. And I feel like that calms my nerves. I feel like, for me, I have to get a couple snaps in just before I can fully get into the game, and maybe even get hit once. But I mean, you just have to act. You have to act like you're all good and stuff, even if you're freaking out on the inside. And
how big of a part was Tony Pike? Because I know, Steve is obviously a big part of your development, but in high school, did Tony kind of take over that role in terms of that training, in terms of quarterback play?
Yeah, definitely. He taught me almost everything I know right now, other than my other quarterback coaches at St. X. So those quarterback coaches combined, they've really helped me step up my game and stuff like that. And he was the basketball guy, and then he just gave it over to Tony my freshman year.
Right. Well, it was Steve DeBerg first.
Steve DeBerg, and then Tony. We went over some film and stuff, and I had no idea what was going on. And then he also gave me the confidence to say that I can play, because he had one of the camps, and I was MVP, and I just didn't know what was going on. So
what does your regimen look like? Like, how did he prepare off season versus in season? Like, what was an off season week like with Tony Pike or your coaches at St. X?
Off season, I would go to Tony once or twice a week. We would work out, throw and stuff, which is mostly legs, and then we would watch film after. And then in season for football, we would watch film, go over the plays and stuff and the reads, and then have practice. That was during mini camp. Then we'd have film after every single practice. It just really prepared us for every single week.
And now that you're moving on to Wisconsin, Steve, where are you at in terms of what do you say to Chase? Like, everything that he's done, you kind of got to throw it out the window to an extent, and you start at zero, right? Everyone that gets a scholarship at Wisconsin had a big-time career at the high school level, is a big-time player, has news stories coming out about him all the time, and now you're one of 60 guys, where, at St. X, he became a very big fish in a small pond. So where do you talk to him in terms of what is your mindset day one that you step on campus? What do you need to be thinking about?
Well, I think Chase comes from a unique situation. When he went to St. X, he was one of 125 on the football team. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, he never got reps. I mean, he had a fight to get reps, and he would come home and he said, Dad, I'm not getting any reps. And there's like 5 different quarterbacks. And, we talked through that. You can talk until you're blue in your face, but I think Chase understands that have a little bit of history with this. I'm around college athletics. I played 2 sports in college. So what I tell him, more importantly, I don't talk to him about football. I talk to him about making sure that he sets the table when he goes to school, that he's ready. So he knows the plays. He's studying the playbook. The other day, everybody's out at the pool. He's sitting there reading his playbook. At night, he's got to be reading his playbook, and he's got to be ready. He still gets up. He didn't say this part of his regimen. He lifts, and he gets up at 5:30, goes in, works at 6 o'clock with the guys at St. X still. But, being the first one there, the last one to leave is important. Some of the things that I've learned. And he's a very quiet kid, when he's around his team. And I think that he's that quiet leader. What I loved about it, and I think will translate to Wisconsin, is I watched the Coleraine game when there was no offense the whole game, and it's raining and it's sleeting, and Tony and I are sitting there going, what are we doing here? And actually, I went out and moved the car. I was just like, done. And boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, they're winning the game. And I looked at him. I'm like, okay, where's the chink? And I don't know what maybe that's my dad in me. Like, where's the chink with him? And I didn't see it. And I even if they lost that game, I was like, I didn't see a chink in his armor. The other thing is I told him, I said, like you said, there's a lot of good players coming in there. He's got to have a chip on his shoulder. And he's got to go in there realizing that nobody thinks he's going to be able to do it. And I think he's really taken that role on, because I've always felt that everybody was going to underappreciate me, and I'm going to take him over. And I think the love of the game, I don't think I'd let him play college football if he didn't love the game. And we've talked about that. He loves basketball, but he loves football more. And it's I think that keeping your house in order when you go to school, understanding, I say it to all the time, you don't know who's watching. And he's learning that now. You don't know who's looking at you. Make sure you do the right thing, because you get in trouble one time, it's on the social media. If you say the wrong thing on Twitter, and those are things that I can help him with, because I live it. I see guys losing their jobs because of it. I see guys losing their scholarships because of it. And there's just important things you do when you go to school. It's really going to be hard for him being an athlete at Wisconsin.
Yeah, and Chase, how much are you looking forward to that first big hit that you're going to take at the Division I level? Do you think about it?
No, never thought about it.
All right.
I'm kind of looking forward to it, which means I'm playing.
Have you ever had a hit that's like, I don't know if I'm going to do this anymore? Because, like, for me, like, I played football not much at all, and then I got hit a couple of times, and like, hey, like, I'm just going to learn how to shoot really far behind the perimeter, just stick to basketball for right now. Like, has there been a moment at all where it's like, hold on a second, maybe I can play, something else? I
would say grade school. I used to play, like, DN and linebacker, and I had to do drills with, like, all the bigger kids and stuff. So I'd hit them even though I was the quarterback too, and I did not like that. So when we got to high school, I was so thankful that I didn't have to play defense anymore. But I mean, there's been a bunch of hits in high school, but none of them made me question whether I should play or not.
Is there any hit that stood out to you? Steve's shaking his head. So
Ignatius this year.
Yeah.
Did you see it live?
Oh,
were
yeah.
you, like,
I got picked up.
So those are the kind of things that we talk to as father
Yeah.
and son, and you hope things work out. I always said to him, if you get hit, if you can get up and go off and run off. Because you don't want your offensive lineman to feel like, man, I didn't do my job. You don't want the defense to think I got his goat. He got hit, Ignatius, and I sat there. I was sitting with Mr. Messway, Sean Messway's dad, and Jeannie was sitting on the other side. And I was like, if he gets back up, I'm running over to make sure mom's okay. He's laying there. The head coach comes out, which he never does. He got drilled. And I'm sitting there going, please get up. Please get up. And he finally gets up and he runs off. And I swear, I get goosebumps right now. I told Nathan Stockman this the other day, how that was the most important thing I got out of that game. That he listened and he took care of his linemen, and that he ran off and didn't look like he was John F. Kennedy getting shot. I mean, that's what a lot of these quarterbacks do, and then they go back in the game, and it's like, no.
the Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, well, he got up, and he sprinted off, and to this day, it was probably my favorite moment, other than the hit, of the season, because it showed me that this kid's got it. He gets it. And that's what you need to be successful at the next level. The Wisconsin coaches called me and told me, when I talked to him about him, I said, why did you offer him? And he said, we watched the junior year Cleveland St. Ignatius game, and we tallied up. He got hit 35 times, and he never went off the field.
How'd you feel the next day?
Terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It wasn't the worst though. When we played mentor, I ran the ball more than I've ever run before in my life. Like, I don't even know why. We just kept running the ball. I thought I had like internal bleeding and stuff.
You thought you were done. See, that would have been it for me.
I felt like I had a puke when we were in the hotel room after. It was terrible.
Because you didn't play football at all, did you?
No. We
Okay.
played in the backyard with my brothers. Well, he didn't play football.
Yeah.
And we do it on the beach. We do it in the backyard, and he would throw until our neighbor Denny Fox got him into, Denny. But he was like, hey, why doesn't Chase play football? And I said, my buddies said, don't ask him. If he asks you, then let him play if he wants to play. And like 2 days later, Denny was coaching. Denny talks to Chase and says, well, you got to ask your dad. So Chase comes in and asks me to play. I was like, oh, great. One sport I didn't want him playing.
I didn't really want to play. I wasn't very happy when his son Matthew started playing. I was like, because he was always out in practice and stuff, so I never got to see him, and it really made me angry and stuff. So once I played, I loved it.
Well, my money's on you, Chase. I'm going to have a little bit of a tough time when you do play against Michigan, because Michigan football, that's like my one team. That's my one team that I root for all the time. I watch every single one of their games. I'm a huge Harbaugh fan. I wear a pair of Docker khakis every single game. So when I go up to Ann Arbor with your dad, I'm going to struggle with what I'm going to wear. But we'll see. There's time for me to possibly, support Wisconsin in that game, but I will say it's going to be a difficult conversation for me, really internally in my head, is what I'm going to do. 'Cause that's tough for me. You guys can beat up on Joe Pa. You can beat up on the Buckeyes, but when it comes to taking down Harbaugh, that's going to be a little bit challenging for me, just personally. It's nothing against you at all. So when Michigan, maybe beats you by 7 or has a last-second field goal, in Madison. I'll feel bad for you, but the rest of the team, maybe not so much.
Well, I think what's great about him playing in the Big Ten. I mean,
Yeah.
you get to see all the games, and it's going to be close. I mean, heck, not that far to Ann Arbor. Not that far to IU or Ohio State.
All right, before we move on, Steve, I got to ask you this, just like everybody else. How do you get your energy? Like, what is it? Is it a morning routine? Is it like, because I feel like you do 10 things at the same time all the time. You're doing games for CBS Sports. You run a company. You have a very successful family, great kids, great wife. I mean, where do you get the energy? What is it? I mean, some people say it's what they do every day. They're consistent with what they eat. For you, what has allowed you to maintain a level of excellence in a variety of different platforms?
Well, my dad's 93 and he plays tennis still. Works out 3 times a day. I think I get it from my mom and dad. But I'll tell you what, I got married at 37. The only thing I really wanted in my whole life, the only thing that I dreamed about was getting married and have kids. And but it had to be the right time. I hit the lottery and married my wife Jeannie, and it's fun. I mean, I get up in the morning. My kids are fun to be around. I enjoy them. They actually want to come home. Sabrina comes home from college, and she wants to go to see Chase in Wisconsin. They like being around each other. I feel like I got the life, and so the energy level is not always there. When I was working and starting a company, coming home, and I got to go out and hit ground balls and go to do all the things with my kids, shag volleyballs and go catch footballs and rebound. It's not always the greatest thing in the world. But once you get out there and you're with your kids, my big concern is I might have this energy when my kids are leaving, because I'm already looking at him leaving. And you know what? We have a good relationship. We get at each other pretty much, but for 99% of the time, we enjoy watching shows together or watching basketball or talking. I text him during the day. He texts me during the day. What are you doing? Nothing. What's up with you? I'm going to miss that. It's going to have to change a little bit. I got to focus on my youngest two now. But I think I get my energy from my family. I really do, because I'd be lost without them. I really would be.
That's awesome. Well, you guys were fantastic. Thank you so much for having the Be Different podcast in your house. Not everybody invites us in. And I don't even think it's that we're a rough crowd, or maybe Nick Gibbons smells bad. I'm not sure. But I appreciate you guys allowing us coming in here. Chase, best of luck as you move on to Wisconsin. I know you're going to do some fantastic things there, and I'll be rooting for you. Except when you play against Harbaugh. And then, Steve, I'll be seeing you because you're going to be staying in Cincinnati. But thanks for having us in. Both of you guys, congrats on all your success. And that's a wrap on the Be Different podcast.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. The Roses are Skyline.
Skyline.
I do like Skyline.
It has to be Skyline.
Well, and you know what? I love the Roses.